Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kahaloyim Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To the sister Akwaf, listening in silence. Shalom. Right? This your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson. And yeah. It's right here. It says, get your tribe ready, right? And, this guy probably don't know that that's actually biblical, right? According to the Bible. According to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the Lord said in Habakkuk that it shall speak and not lie, right? Dealing with what the prophecies, dealing with the Lord is not a liar. He's not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should repent, right? And the Lord is making some things happen. So this is actually biblical, right? So let's go about that and show you biblically in the Bible that this is true. But first, before we do that, let's just listen to a you know what? Let's just go through a couple scriptures and then we'll listen to this guy. Yeah. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 11. I will punish the world for their evil, right? So right now, you got a worldwide pandemic, right? And global financial hardship globally, right? Because it's just not America that when the stock market crash, America's not going to be the only one that's in distress, right? So it's going to be a global distress financially, right? Because they're all trying to crash the dollar to go into that digital, China call it the yen, America call it the coin, right? Whether if it's a digital yen or a digital coin, that's what they're trying to get to, right? Which ultimately is the MOTB, right? But they're all going to be punished for the evil and the wicked and all the wicked for their iniquity, right? And iniquity is what? Sin on top of sin. And ultimately sin is what? Transgression of the law, right? And they have broke the law of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? And I will cause the right? The arrogancy of the proud, right? Which proud and arrogancy is the same thing, to cease, right? Because the Lord said, why do the heathen rage, right? They imagine a vain thing, because what? China is imagining, they know that America's going to go down, and they feel like they're going to be the next superpower into play. It says, and will lay low the haughtiness, which is the same thing as proud, haughtiness, arrogance of the terrible, right? And the scriptures, when you go into Proverbs, it says even the mercy of the wicked is cruel, right? Roughly paraphrasing. And that's what they are. They're terrible. Even their mercy is terrible, right? I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir, right? Which is in America, but because the best gold actually comes from America, right? So, and that the men or the man that the Lord is going to make more precious than fine gold is going to be an Israelite man, but more important than just being an Israelite, the elect of the nation of Israel, right? Therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, right, with the ICBM missiles, right, from Russia, from China, right, in the wrath of Yahweh, right, and this wrath means anger, of Yahweh of hosts, which means armies, right, those missiles is the Lord's army, that's the Lord's military, and in the day of his fierce anger, right, wrath, anger, fierce, same thing, right? A lot of time the Lord gives you the definition. If you pay attention when you're reading, the Lord gives you the definition of what it is. You know what I mean? And it shall be as the chase roe, as a sheep, right? Like that. Chase roe, as a sheep, right? A roe could sheep or deer. Normally what pops up is a deer when you look up into the definition, but a sheep is also a roe too. As a chase roe, as a sheep that no man taketh up, right? Because a sheep is supposed to be protected by the what? A shepherd. And you Israelites, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians who didn't partake in this in the basically the rebirth of the Israelites, right? Because they had their rebirth, right? Which is what do you call it? Renaissance, right? The rebirth of the Edomites basically means to rebirth. But we're having a rebirth too, right? The rebirth of the Israelites, the Renaissance of the true biblical Israelites is coming into play, right? And you didn't partake in it, so you're going to be as chase roe too, right along with them. And because the reason why I brought that up, because it made me think about it, because it says as a sheep that no man taketh up, and the Lord said that the Lord is thy shepherd, right? So who can put damage to you if the Lord is your shepherd? And a shepherd is to protect the flock. So basically, you denied having the shepherd. You denied Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai to protect you, right? They shall every man, right? Because like the guy was saying, it's time to get tribal, or it's time to have time to get your tribe ready. And everything's going to be tribal. And it don't necessarily got to be people of your own race. But for the most part, it is. Because you're going to have these race wars too. So for the most part, it is going to be people of your own race. But then it's going to be even more tribal than that. Because you just got to look at, I need to pick somebody who ain't going to kill me. I don't care if he's black, white, Chinese, Arabic. If we can kick it together and we protect each other's back to back, swinging bats and swords and guns and whatever we need to do to protect what we have to have, that's going to be your tribe, right? Says yeah. Yes, shall every man turn to his own people and flee every one to his own place, right? Every one that is found shall be thrust through, right? So you seen the Purge movie. if you wasn't shut up in your house, protected, and you out in the and about, you got thrust through. So it's that purge, that movie of the purge, that was reality. That was according to the scriptures, right? If people see an opening, a weakness within you, and they get a chance to take you on and take your food, and ultimately maybe take your wives or your daughters, you know what I mean? I don't think they're necessarily going to take your sons. They'll probably kill them, but maybe they might. They might take your sons just so they can, like who was it? The dude that was doing that in Africa, and then the dude was a Mo. So he was taking the sons, making them snort gunpowder, having them shoot people, and then he was doing the mo thing. You know what I mean? He was doing the rainbow mo thing with them, right? So, wow, yeah, I didn't even know I was gonna talk, but regardless, this is. I mean, let's just speak honestly. This is what it is, man. It's coming to that factor, man. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. And everybody that's joined unto them, who? America. You got Japan, you got England, Australia, you got Saudi Arabia, you got some of these other places that's supposed to be so-called joined unto America, but they're going to fall, man. And ultimately, that's why they're going to get mad, because they're going to realize, oh, that was the whore. And we knew according to biblical prophecy, and we heard them brothers out there prophesying all over the world. We got a brother that's in GMS Australia, GMS Japan, GMS Holland, GMS England. I mean, all over the planet, man. Giving you the skinny, man. Like they say back in the day, the old guys say, give you the skinny. You know what I'm saying? Because according to scriptures, you're not supposed to eat fat. So you're supposed to trim the fat. You trim the fat, but not trim your ways to seek love. And that's what you Israelites do. You trim your ways to seek love, but you remain fat. You remain immovable from getting your mind from out of this society, right? But let's keep going. It says, yeah, everyone is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also, right? So you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, your children also too shall be dashed to pieces, right? And ultimately, hey, it's going to be great to bash an Edomite's child into pieces, man. Before their eyes and their houses, right? If you got a weakness, I can come into your house, take your food, your water, your resources, your women. That's what they're gonna do. And their houses shall be spoiled, which means robbed, right? And their wives ravished, right? Which means taken, man. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that's without your permission. There ain't gonna be no police, none of this other stuff. So, like, there's gonna be great judgment for you women, man. Right? You like to dress in skimpy clothes, tease men, have your vagina basically popping out with your camel toe, with some little ass, and they be like, no, don't touch me, don't talk to me. I ain't like that, Hey, but hey, in that day, it's not gonna matter, right? See why? Because, matter of fact, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, right? Who's the Medes? That's the so-called Russians, right? Which shall not regard their silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, right? It means in the Russians, right? When everything said and done, America's playing this war game, they're playing this and that, but all in all, everything's gonna go sour, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, look, we'll give you this gold. We'll give you this. We'll give you a part of this business. We'll give you this and that. We'll do whatever we could do to just so we don't have to go there." But it's gonna be too late. Cause you go to Ezekiel 38, the Lord said He should put an evil thought in his mind. Matter of fact, we're gonna do that because we're gonna check that out. Because there ain't no coming back. Right? And the main thing I want to get to is this, because what? Right here.
Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kahal Loyum Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai Ba'asham, Rakab Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who were well, the elders in Connecticut, right? To the brothers in the Four Winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever, right? The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to the sister Aquav, listening in silence. This your brother Ram Yehawada with the lesson.
We are getting word now that militaries across our world are preparing to go to war. They're preparing for the conflict that we all saw coming. When you have an economic crisis and a biological threat, history has told us time and time again since the recorded ages of the plagues that we would go to war. So if you wanted to know why China was telling its citizens to prepare, why nations are getting ready for conflicts in ways that have only been seen before a major movement is made in the theater of war, this is why. Reports show that China will work to develop and deploy up to 1,000 nuclear warheads and weapons over the course of the following years in a bid, they say, to overtake the U.S. arsenal. This is according to the U.S. Defense Department's report on the building and readiness of China's military and Chinese military to take on world powers in a massive movement of war and control. The sizable nation's nuclear acceleration may enable them to have up to 700 deliverable warheads in just a short couple of years. We will defend Taiwan, and this will send the major nations of the world into armed conflict, warns one military historian. This is all coming to a head, warns another, as the Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General claimed that the U.S. is prepared and absolutely could defend Taiwan from China. Not only has the U.S. Army warned that the pace and fervor that the Chinese military is building at is a warning to U.S. dominance in the region. Now at the Aspen Security Forum, the Chairman General is reported to have warned that if China moves on Taiwan, U.S. forces absolutely, this is a quote, absolutely have the capability to move into the theater of war and engage the nation over what Taiwan will decry as an act of immediate warfare within minutes of invasion. The U.S. military that has what is known as strategic ambiguity. This is one report. So they're saying the U.S. military has strategic ambiguity. They have the ability to sit on the sidelines and then act with a moment's notice. But they will come to defend those allied pacts and agreements. Not doing so would leave the United States of America bare. Because let's face it, person for person, the U.S. versus China, the U.S. could never win. It would take superior firepower, and it would take, actually, an act of nuclear war. That is something that I do not want to happen, you do not want to happen, and it becomes harder and harder to prepare for every single day. What is happening right now is being seen as the most significant global power shift since the world wars. Russia is ready, China is ready, the United States is ready, and the world's economy is ready for new conflict. We are now witnessing a Sputnik moment. This is according to a military officer. We are witnessing one of the largest shifts in global geostrategic power. On October 17th, as you know, it was reported
Learn about crypto and get paid as you learn with Coinbase Earn. We've paid out.
China tested a nuclear-capable hypersonic missile in August that circled the globe before speeding down towards its target. This demonstrated, according to strategists, an advanced space capability that caught U.S. intelligence by surprise. Ethan Paul of the Quincy Institute warns that Taiwan is the key piece. He says that this is China's rejuvenation project, as China will not believe itself to be a great power unless it's able to reabsorb Taiwan into the country. China has this concept of rejuvenation, it says. They are warning a large part of the idea is redeeming the history of colonialism in China, not only by Western powers, but also by Japan. If China cannot fulfill this unification, then China is in fact not the great power that it seeks to be, and it is still under the thumb of the West. You know, you might sit back and you might say, there's no...
Russian and Chinese forces completed a new round of military exercises meant to increase interoperability between the two countries' armies in a potential war. The Zapad Interaction 2021 exercises were meant to help Russia and China work against a common enemy, the United States, but both sides understand that the worst enemy each country could have is actually one another. The 5-day exercises, held in the Ningzhou Autonomous Region of China, stressed joint planning and field operations, pairing Russian and Chinese groups together in mixed units. The exercises, according to China's Ministry of Defense, were conducted with the goal of jointly safeguarding regional security and stability in mind. Hijidai Maneuvering Area, Oita, Japan. CNN. For the first time in almost 30 years, Japan's Ground Self-Defense Force, GSDF, is conducting a massive nationwide military exercise to prepare troops for potential conflict. Since mid-September, about 100,000 personnel, 20,000 vehicles and 120 aircraft have been participating in various exercises across the country focused on operational readiness. In recent years, the Indo-Pacific regional has become a focal point of tension, with GSDF officials saying the security environment surrounding Japan is the worst it's been since the end of World War II. This ground self-defense force exercise is truly focused on improving operational effectiveness, deterrence and response capabilities, said Colonel Noriko Yokota, GSDF spokesperson. Each unit is conducting the exercise with an eye to what is necessary to achieve this goal. They are preparing themselves so that they can respond with confidence when they are forced to take further action. Earlier this week, North Korea said it had successfully test-fired a new ballistic missile from a submarine that landed in the Sea of Japan, also known as the East Sea. Meanwhile, further south, China has been ramping up pressure on Taiwan by sending military jets into its air defense identification zone. Without identifying any country by name, GSDF officials say regional powers are willing to change the status quo by force, and one country in particular continues to develop nuclear weapons, missiles and challenge the non-proliferation system. The current security environment surrounding Japan is extremely severe, said Lieutenant Gen. Yuichi Tagashi, commanding general of the 2nd Division GSDF. We, the self-defense forces, are required to enhance the effectiveness of operations. Troops from the GSDF 2nd Division in Asahikawa, Hokkaido traveled about 2,000 kilometers, 1,242 miles, to the Hijidai Maneuvering Area in Japan's Oita Prefecture to perform defensive combat drills. Since arriving in September, they've spent weeks building out logistic areas, command posts.
China has put the U.S. on notice after releasing new footage of military drill showing a simulated invasion of Taiwan amid rising tensions in the region. China has put the U.S. on alert amid rising tensions over Taiwan and the South China Sea. This week, the Chinese People's Liberation Army released videos showing Marines and island landing drills targeting Taiwan. military drills appeared to simulate a Chinese invasion of Taiwan, prompting increased concern among Taiwanese officials and its allies, including the U.S. The drills showcased the Type 075, a 40,000-ton amphibious warship which is understood to carry up to 30 helicopters and nearly 1,000 personnel. It was not clear where or when the drill was conducted. Chinese military expert Zhang Zongping said the PLA was targeting its combat training to prepare for a possible war over Taiwan. It comes as both the U.S. and PLA navies send aircraft carrier strike groups to the South China Sea. A Chinese military official told the state-run Global Times many on the island of Taiwan and foreign countries for a long time believe the Chinese mainland does not possess what it takes to organize a proper large-scale, joint amphibious landing operation on the island due to this kind of mission's high complexity. That is one of the reasons why they do not think a reunification by force operation is possible. Exercises like this one and daily routine warplane drills near the island could serve as a deterrent and give secessionists and foreign forces a clear look at the real situation, that the PLA is fully determined and capable of safeguarding China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. He warned that China could carry out many more amphibious landing tactics, including the involvement of missile, artillery, and aviation forces if secessionists insist on provoking Beijing. Earlier this week, Chinese media warned Australia that Beijing could target the country's military bases in response to their support for Taiwan. Australia has a strong relationship with Taiwan and backs the country's independence from mainland China. In response, Beijing state media outlets have threatened to strike Canberra's military bases as punishment for their support for Taiwan. The Global Times, a Chinese state media outlet, warned Australian hawks not to get involved with Taiwan. Husaitan, editor-in-chief of the outlet, said, "I suggest China make a plan to impose retaliatory punishment against Australia once it militarily interferes in the cross-straits situation."
Yeah, so this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, which is talking about what? The scriptures, right? And, you know, you got a common thing that people say, what you got to bring to the table? Well, this is what we have to bring to the table, the truth, right? So we make it plain upon the table, right? You know, on the highways, the byways, make it plain upon tables. Lessons, Make it plain upon tables unto you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, whether you hear or forbear, man. Ultimately, that's just what it's about. And then we make it plain upon table. He said, write it down, right? Because what? This was written thousands of years ago. You know what I mean? Who was gonna remember this? Right? Even after our priests have forsaken the way. All of Israel went their own way, according to Isaiah 53. Everybody went their own way. So who remembered this truth? So it had to be written down. Right? The oracle tradition would not be carried down the right way. Well, you know that through Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All of them were taught the right way. But who kept the actual oracles of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai? It was Shem, which later got Eber. Eber is where you get Hebrew from, and ultimately where the line where Terah, which is Abraham's father, and then you got Abraham, man. They were still speaking the language that Adam spoke, while all the other ones broke off and started speaking their own language and coming with their own doctrine, having some form of the truth, but not the whole truth. So you got to be written down, man. That he may run, right? What did Apostle Paul say? This is a race, that you may run the race and finish it, right? That readeth it, right? For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end, Salakia, but at the end, and this is where we're at right now. Even this so-called, what looked like a Edomite, or so self-proclaimed white man, what looks like an Edomite, is saying, look, it's time for you to get tribal. You're gonna have to get some people together. Y'all gonna have to protect yourself, because this is what it's coming down to, right? And this is ultimately the Most High, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. That's biblical, like I was saying. But at the end it shall speak. Right, that's speaking right now, and that's a great edification of what this dude is about to say. And not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Hey, pretty soon these prophecies are going to come faster and faster, and that's why the Lord said that Esau ain't going to know from which way it comes. Because see, right now they're thinking, oh yeah, this thing happened, so they're thinking they could control it. But when these prophecies come, they ain't going to be able to control it. So let's listen to what this guy has to say.
With everything that is happening in the world right now, you better have your tribe ready. Your tribe has a healer. It has an army. It has a cook. It has hunters. It has people who are working in apprenticeships to help others when they are either unwilling to or cannot do the jobs that they will to help you. You see, we have drifted far away from a tribal mentality in our modern world. Yes, every family circle is supposed to operate as a tribe on its own. The mother and father are supposed to provide security for the children. Hunting will come in the form of a grocery store and working to get the money necessary to purchase those groceries. You have extra familiar doctors who will aid you when you get sick, but we need to bring it all back home. Every person here watching this video, whether you feel like you are a lone wolf or you are forced to be, or you already have a preparedness group or a large family of willing people who will survive whatever this world has to throw at them, you need to consider the tribal mentality. The hunters aren't necessarily cooks. The cooks won't necessarily be hunters. Look at what every colonizing army has had in their past, in their forces, and work to create that. It has backup people that will work in apprenticeships for people who are know wild edibles, for people who know how to handle, you might have a nurse in your group or in your family. You need to make sure that that person is teaching other people. And you might say, well, Brad, if I'm spending every waking hour under apprenticeship, working a garden, handling the animals, talking with family, setting up communications plan, practicing at the target range, and doing all these things, that sounds like a lot of work. And you are absolutely right. Surviving what is coming in this world has nothing to do with leisure or pleasure. Surviving what is coming in this world has everything to do with you being on top of your game and being the best that you can be at every single thing. You need to get out to a range.
Ecclesiastes chapter 38, Ecclesiastes 38, right, in the Apocrypha, which is part of the Bible, right? The wisdom of a learned man, right? Ecclesiastes 38:24. Wisdom of a learned man continueth by opportunity, right? Of leisure, right? So we're going to and see what the definition of leisure means. Yeah, so this is Google. It says leisure, right? It says just free time. That's what it says, free time, right? Free time, spare time is what leisure means. But I know it's supposed to be based on learning, right? So it says leisure-based education provides participants with leisure time activities focusing on different areas. And that's basically what the guy was saying, for you to focus your attention on different skills, whether it be medical, whether it be building a house, whether it be hunting, and you basically, it's really going to be, you're going to have to be the jack of all trades real soon. And you're going to have to build your own things. You know what I mean?
Point says in yesterday's video, and I got a little bit of a kick out of this, why do you disrespect drug dealers by comparing them to government officials? When we talked about how they get you hooked on electricity, get you hooked on the need for health insurance, get you hooked on the need to buy California oranges when you live in Florida, and buy Florida cucumbers when you live in California. I thought that was pretty funny and a little bit of truth to it. Glenn Begin says, what happens to the people that live paycheck to paycheck, of course, in what is coming? They cannot afford to buy a year's worth of supplies. What do? Do they just starve and die? Absolutely not. If you buy one extra can of food, let's say that you live paycheck to paycheck, okay? Are there areas that you can skimp? If there are, start skimping those areas today. Get rid of Netflix, get rid of Hulu, get rid of all those extraordinary leisures, and use that money for your food. Use that money for your supplies. And you don't have to do it every month. Just say 1 month, okay, I'm going to drop Netflix, which now, they're just as bad as cable companies, and the content is worse. You can drop Netflix, and you can get a bag of rice, and you can get some extra canned food. And then if your kids really want Netflix, you pick it up next month. And then you switch and do this over and over again. Doing this is going to provide your family with the ability to handle what is coming. John Galtman says, my wife asked me today, did we turn on the heater? I said, no, why? Because our gas bill went up, she replied, as she had it sitting in her hand. We have natural gas for hot water, the stove, and heating, and we didn't start the heater yet this year, but the bill has already gone up because they are already charging us more. Good times ahead, he says jovially. Get ready for higher prices and less availability. Along the way, says our natural gas provider was just told they couldn't have the pipeline they've had for almost 2 years. The U.S. Supreme Court declined to overturn it. Many in St. Louis, Missouri might have heating and cooking interruptions or outages due to this after December 13th. We did a little bit of looking into this, and it's not just there. Everywhere in the United States of America, everywhere in Western society, everywhere except Russia, a couple of other areas, are about to have energy crisis events. Get your propane, get your natural gas, stabilize your gas if you're storing it.
Yeah, so the ultimate wisdom, right? Because it's talking about, plowing, making irrigation, which you're not going to have any water pretty soon. So to find a way to get water or be able to drink water is going to be necessity, right? You're going to have to find a way to have some type of, water irrigation. Yeah, but the main wisdom you should have is what? Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, which is these scriptures. You should know that the Apocrypha is part of the Bible, right? And it's very necessary. But, this is for the elect and not for everyone anyway. But, we're here. And he that haveth little business shall become wise, right? And if you make this your business, right, you should become a little wiser, right? How can he get wisdom, right? How can you get these scriptures that holdeth the plow? So if you're just worried about plowing, seeing this guy's Edomite, man, that's all he knows. He's just telling you about survival and getting the plow and all this other type of stuff. But in a sense, it's biblical what he's saying. It's time that hey, this thing is going back to the Stone Ages, man. It's going back where you're going to be tribal, right? And he that glorieth in the gold that driveth oxen and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks, right? So you can only talk about having your fields growing and this and that, and let's get this going and let's have our thing. Hey, the most thing you better be occupied is in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. He giveth his mind to make pharaohs, right? So let's go into that and see what the pharaohs mean. Furrow, a long, narrow trench made in the ground by a plow, especially for planting seeds or for irrigation, right? And is occupied in their labor, and whose talk is of bullocks, right? You're just worried about, let me farm this, farm that, do this, do that, do that. This is how we're gonna survive. Let's get our shooting practice and hey, your thing should be about Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So every caterpillar and master worker and laboreth night and day, and they that cutteth the groves sealeth, and are diligent to make great variety, right? You want to have different varieties of different food because you're used to having variety. So you want to really get into this thing. So because this is the thing everybody's trying to get back to, that normality. So it's basically going to say that in the scripture. Watch what it says. Because basically everybody's trying to get back to normality. So when everything is cut off, all the power, there's no water, there's no nothing, you're going to basically be like the show Walking Dead, because ultimately that's what they were doing. They were just trying to come together as a tribe, right? Each different people, and find some type of normality. And different people's normality was different than other people's normality. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing you're going to have to go through. Variety, and give themselves to counterfeit imagery, right? So that's what I'm saying. You're going to counterfeit the imagery of this world, this present world that's basically passing away. That's what the Lord said. This thing is waxing away, right? And watcheth to finish a work, right? You're only just occupied in how you can survive and how you can till the ground and do this and do that and do that. But you better be occupied in what? And the spirit of Yahushua is what? Prophecy. You better be occupied in this prophecy. Yeah. So I don't forget, I'm going to come back right here again, right here at 17. It says Isaiah chapter 13, verse 17, behold, which means feast your eyes upon, pay attention. I will stir up the Medes dealing with, that area that Russia's in. So it's talking about the Russians because the Medes were actually another people, but Russia is in that general area. So we know that that's talking about Russia against them which shall not regard silver and as for gold they shall not delight in, right? And that's going to be Russia. Their bows also shall dash the young men into pieces, which is talking about the ICBM missiles, which is ultimately the military of the Lord, his army. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children, right? And that's really going to be ultimately the ICBM missiles that's coming from Russia and China, right?
Russian and Chinese forces completed a new round of military exercises meant to increase interoperability between the two countries' armies in a potential war. The Zapad Interaction 2021 exercises were meant to help Russia and China work against a common enemy, the United States, but both sides understand that the worst enemy each country could have is actually one another. The 5-day exercises, held in the Ningzhou Autonomous Region of China, stressed joint planning and field operations, pairing Russian and Chinese groups together in mixed units. The exercises, according to China's Ministry of Defense, were conducted with the goal of jointly safeguarding regional security and stability in mind.
Yeah, so this is Ezekiel 38 and 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, right, which is talking about Russia, and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesied against him, and say, Thus saith Yahweh, power, behold, which means feast your eyes upon, look, pay attention, I am against thee, right, I'm against you, against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy armies, horses and horsemen, and all them that clothe with all sorts of armor, even a great company with buckler and shields, all of them holding swords, which the modern day sword is the gun, and the modern day shield is what? Tanks, bulletproof vests, right? Things like that. But to get to the part where I was talking about, because it said they should not regard gold nor silver, skip down here to 10. Thus saith Yahweh, power, it also shall come to pass that at the same time, right, when all this stuff is going on, World War III, and they're playing these little war games, and because they're all part of the Illuminati, and they all are doing the pandemic. So this is all part of the New World Order. Right? They're all playing the same game. They're all on the same team. No matter if they're having this discourse and this discourse, ultimately they're on the same team. But what the Lord is going to do at that same time, shall things come into thy mind, right? The Lord is going to play with his mind, because the Most High can do that. and thus shall think an evil thought, right? And they're gonna come. Russia is actually gonna send them nukes, because right now it's just a threat and a scare, and oh my God, we're gonna do. And then they're playing little cartoons about it. What happens if the world is shot with missiles? What would you do to survive a nuclear fallout? What would you do if it's all little games, right? But they know it's gonna actually happen. It's possible, because that's why they're going into the Cheyenne Mountains. They're not going to the Cheyenne Mountains for nothing, right? So they're not going to regard their gold. Once he put this thought in his mind, they're not going to regard any gold or silver or anything that these people can offer. Just another quick reminder, of Yahweh's power. It says Isaiah chapter 55 verse 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. And how is it going forth out of his mouth? Through the prophets, right? Through the men, mostly of Great Millstone, right? But there's prophets, through the prophets. And it shall not return unto me void, right? Right. But it shall accomplish that which I please, whatever the Lord please, right? And ultimately it's going to be what? ICBM missiles on a multiple scale hitting America, turning into a desert. But these other places are going to get hit with nukes. Their armies, all the armies of the world are going to get wiped out. And Yahweh Shai is going to reign in this world as the Prince of Peace, the ruler of this world. And we should be joint heirs, starting with King David, right? And then the 12, and then 144,000, right? That's what the Lord pleased. And it shall purpose in the things whereunto I sent it, right? Yeah, this is Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 16. Just like I was saying, that a word of the Lord goes out and will never come back void, right? So that's basically what it is. Cut off the sword from Babylon, which is America, right? When the ICBM missiles, when the Lord stirred up the Medes, and basically, which is Russia that we know today, and him that handleth the sickle, right, which would be China and them other Great Britain and North Korea, right? They got the ICBM missiles, and in the time of harvest, from fear of the oppressing sword, right? When Esau know that he got but a short time, and he come down with great wrath upon of the American citizens, because there's nothing else he could do, right? So he's going to come down with great wrath, knowing that he got but a short time, right? And that's going to be for the fear of the oppressing sword. They shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land, right? Yeah. So this is Isaiah chapter 47, right? Verse 15. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thus has labored, right? And who have they labored with? They labor with China, right? Because China is the industrial, and what America went from being the industrial to being the consumer, right? Because we had the industrial boom, but they moved all the companies overseas, other places, to get cheaper labor, so they didn't have to pay the American people their fair wages or to pay insurance, right? So they moved all that stuff elsewhere. So America just became consumers. Even thy merchants, right? Because you get your merchandise from where? From China, from Thailand. You get your, all sorts of different other places. Mexico, wherever the labor's cheaper, right? From thy youth, right? Dealing with Great Britain, Great Britain's going to shoot missiles upon you, right? They shall wander every one to his quarters, right? You're gonna go. Everybody's gonna go back to their own people, back to their own quarters, back to their own location. None shall save thee, right? So everybody's just gonna take off, go back to their own people, and nobody's gonna save America ultimately. So call Loyum Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai Basham Rakakwadash. Right? Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who were well. Salutations to the Akim and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to the sister in the Akwaf that's listening and learning in silence. Shalom and death to America.